What it do, Modified 95? Like I said, progress is progress. Today, me and Zeronius back there are going to work on the B16. The GSR is at a good place. The whole bottom end's complete. And we're kind of waiting for the rain to subside and the compressor to dry out so we could fire that up without tripping the breaker. And then we can do all the porting and all the things we need air tools for. But we're just going to take some time today to assemble the pieces we have for the B16. I mean, we should have everything where it could all pretty much go together today, but we probably won't do it in one video. All right, so give me 5 on my black hand side and let's go. All right, so starting over here, I made a short where I cleaned a couple rear main seals. No, one rear main seal and 2 oil pumps. And this is one of the ones I cleaned. It was for the B16 project. And as you remember, I got like all the mating surfaces cleaned up, got all the gasket off though. We were just checking the inside. And I also wanted it to open to see if it needed to be ported. This one looks like it's pretty smooth. There's no signs of any
major burrs or anything.
Yeah, it's like feels pretty smooth just by like touching it and going around, like especially in here. Yeah, sorry, not too much time doing that. But yeah, these are the pieces inside. These things are very simple. So yeah, I'm glad we checked that out just to make sure it was good. So that can probably go on at some point, but that'll go back together. Over here, this is my shelf of stuff I want to go through because I didn't go with full floating pistons. I had it to get the wrist pins pushed in when I was at the shop. The crank is sitting there. Everything around here is very soft, not scratch it or cause any damage. And I don't let anything get stacked on top of there. So yeah, the stuff is the stuff. And so we're just going through and seeing what we can just throw on today just to make this feel like more of a complete build. So as I was just getting stuff together, there's an assortment of red label baggies. And then I gotta see like where they screw into the engine because this thing is bare. The GSR is like pretty much only what we took off it has to go back on it because it was complete. This I got in San Jose, got a really good deal. So I got off work one day, I was coming home and passing by there. I was able to pick up a bunch of parts from somebody and was able to take them into the machine shop around here. The closest one is called Power and Performance. They do a pretty good job. They're probably the best one we have locally. So I've taken several things to them and had them take care of it. I found this seal. This is the one that goes to the oil pump. So we got a new one for that. So that makes me happy. I found the rear main. And then found this bag of bolts. So right now, we just got on the new water pump. Yeah. And I cleaned out behind there. Looks like there had been a lot of water in there, which is something I'm guilty of too, of running water instead of like coolant like I'm supposed to. And then as we come over here, I had the new gaskets I ordered for these hoses to tuck in here. I had to order this pipe because I did not have this pipe. And so this is going in, and there's only 2 mounting bolts to hold that. Let's see what else we can find in our pile of stuff to put together on here. All right, we're back on the bottom end. We flipped it over. As you can see, we found all the mounting hardware as well as the O-rings for that. Yay! And then I had ordered these off OfferUp, and somebody had them for me. They were a really good deal. They were like 40, 60 bucks. I don't know, but they're hard to find, and I'd rather have them than not. I know this is a stock build, so like everything in here is going to be stock, like all the rods and everything. I've heard that when people upgrade their rods to stronger ones that don't really care about like the lubrication that these oil squirters provide, that they cap these and just deal with more oil pressure. But I'd rather have them. I want everything to be in place. And we were checking to make sure all these face the right way. This one needed to be bent into place a little bit better. Funny story about this oil, or this coolant pipe. I ordered it and I messaged the seller. I'm like, hey, is there any way that you might have the 2 mounting bolts for this? And the guy said, no problem. I'll put them in there. Got the box. They were in there. I'm like, this dude is legit. And then I opened it while I was at work. And so I was driving clients around, and then one of them hopped in the front seat, so I grabbed it and moved it real quick, and when I pulled it out, for some reason I had the bolts sitting in their spots, and I pulled it out of the car and dumped one of them. Luckily, I was able to find another one in all the Honda bolts we have. So as we're moving on, we got these main caps, right? The main caps off. the thing that was different about this that I noticed was that they look like this. That middle one is the bigger one. But if we don't get dizzy turning in a circle, if we look over there, that's a GSR one. So they have like a girdle that's like 3-in-1, then plus the 2-in-1s. So the B16 is a little bit different inside. As we scroll over here to the head, we can find what we needed. So we have bearings, both the thrust washer and the main and rod bearings. So we're gonna get those all seated in and measured and try to get that put together. Right now we are not at an impasse, but we're just at a point where we are looking up the torque specs because we have all the information for the GSR because we both have GSRs in our cars. So we're used to that, but assembling a B16, we think there's different torque specs to put down the main caps. So over here, as I'm going through stuff and seeing what we have. If you ever do this, just try to stay super organized. I thought I did my best, but a lot of the stuff got moved several times. This is like tensioner. These are important, so I'm glad I didn't lose this. And I feel like in here there is a Woodruff key. Oh, you can see that right there. And the bottom of that, you know what I mean? They have these little baggies full of dope. I mean, no, once again, Woodruff key again. Can't have too many of those. And I think I have another one floating around as I'm here. But these are the pistons. They're all just sitting in here. Oh, what is this? Oh, I was just showing Zero how a good friend of mine, he gave me some oil squirters, but they were too big, right? Because I didn't think I had them. But now when I finally opened this box from the machine shop, I'm like, oh, maybe it's because the oil squirters are right here. So I have an extra set. So I'm very stoked on that. Very cool of me because I just like spending money. Yeah, so we're digging everything out. Those are flywheel bolts, I think. This is something I ordered that were not, obviously not the gaskets for, what's it called? Injectors. Okay, I see. We can see that crank is looking pretty clean. There's no scoring because there was no spun bearings. And it's all lubed up. It just needs to be cleaned though. But other than that, it's good. We got studs. I can tell this is intake manifold stuff. That's in a sensor. Throttle position. Yeah, throttle position sensor. I'm not a dummy, see? And just tons, tons of cool little red label stuff. This is a cable bracket. I could probably throw that thermostat in while we're looking at those specs. But yeah, tons of cool stuff. So I'm just sorting this out. Did we not just find this? Okay. No, that is the third Woodruff key, I'm pretty sure, in that bag. All right, so when we come back, we'll have those torque specs, and we'll do that real quick. We'll probably do it on time lapse. It's fun to watch. All right, so we found out the main caps are 56 foot-pounds and the rod bearings are 30 foot-pounds. It's a good thing we checked on this one because I have aftermarket rods in the GSR. So those go to like 40 or 45. And so it's different for factory. So always check those specs. And so that's what we found. And then as you can see, I torqued them incrementally. I verified each setting because I don't have a lot of torque wrench experience, but I just wanted to make sure I was doing it right. So we did it in stages, 20 across the board, and then 40, and then straight to 56 after that. The more steps, the better. It's just incremental. And so right now, so we put the bearings in each one. We torqued them down to the appropriate spec. He's got this really cool hot rod gauge, and it's going to go in here, and we are going to check every one. We're going to measure it with the calipers, and then we're going to use that hot rod gauge thing, and we're going to get all those numbers and make sure we're as precise as possible. And then we will measure the crank and make sure everything lines up so everything goes in smoothly. So that's what we're working on right now. And then we'll do the same thing on the crank for the pistons and the rod bearings. And then we will also size up the rings so that we can hopefully get this assembly all together. I do not have the Wiseco cuff that we used the first one. That one is for 81. This is like 81.5, 81.75 board oversized, because that's what it took to fix this. So I'm hoping that we can get by using that cup, but it might be too small to let the ring slide through. So we'll give it a whirl, but we'll figure it out. So we had to bust out this table. It's a clean piece of, looks like pine. I don't know, he threw some towels on there. And then we have the crank on there. So we're measuring the mains. These are the rods, these are the mains. And we're getting those numbers. We are notating them on here. Then we'll subtract to make sure they're within spec. If they're not, we'll figure that out if it ever happens. And yeah, we're just going from there. And then, oh yeah, so I want to mention that this also needs to be, this was checked over by the machine shop, and they said, hey, so it's on you to clean this, just like the last one. So we'll take this in the sink, we'll dawn it, we'll scrub it, you know, we'll make sure that any impurities are off of it so that it goes together perfectly. All right, so we got this all washed up. Then we put assembly lube on top of the bearings that were already in place. And then we put on the crank, kind of gave it a little turn. You can see the lube starting to move. So very important is these little things. There's two of them. The grooves right here, I think, face inside, like towards each other. Out. They face out. Oh, so they face out, yeah. So they'll go out. So the smooth side rides against here. And I think they just slide in like this.
We'll put it like that and then twist it.
Like this, and then twist it. Yeah, go the other way. There it is. Oh yeah, that feels good. Okay. Oh, beautiful. So story time. I had an engine, and I was told it was a 0 miles motor, so facing out, laces out. And they didn't put these in here, or the ones they put in there were broken. And so every time I'd push in my clutch, the car would like idle down and die at times. So I got really good at driving by not being on the clutch and brake at the same time, because it would cause the car to die and I'd have to restart it. And then that let go and destroyed the whole motor with a bunch of metal shavings. So thrust washer bearings, very small part, very, very important. All right, and then those main caps are going to go back on and then get torqued back down in sequence. All right, my family, this is where we leave you. We're leaving off. We got this in. We got it spinning. It's smooth as butter. It's nice. So nothing's pinching. Nothing's in the wrong place. I was noticing as I was checking this out that this was the only one that was wider than the other ones. And then Zero reminded me, yeah, because that holds the thrust washers in place. So perfect. So everything is the way it should be. So we're finished up today. So we still need to... weigh out the pistons since they're all one unit, and then we'll make sure they're the same weight, whether we need to take off a little bit of metal so that everything's balanced in the rotating assembly for a really smooth running engine, especially at high RPMs. And then we'll get those fitted on here, and then we will also do the rings. We'll make sure that the rings fit and are in the correct cylinders. So I'm excited. We're making good progress. This is almost to the same point as that, and we got the oil pump clean and ready to be mounted. Just need to swap out that one gasket in here. We have spares of these if we need them, but that one I think looks okay. I have the new gasket for right there as well, and then the rear main seal is also looking pretty, so I'm very excited about that. All right, until I see you guys next time, there'll be part 2 and probably part 3, I think, of getting just the bottom end complete.